we're back with Republican National Committee Communications Director Sean Spicer. Obviously, you're not privy to what's going to happen on the stage tonight from.
Well, you can tell me.
From the various candidates, not from our side. But how much do you expect Rubio and Cruz to go after Donald Trump? Because at this point, they really have been aiming their fire at each other. Donald Trump's been aiming his fire at Cruz. And to your point earlier, if not now, then when?
Right. I think, as I mentioned in the last segment, you've got a very crucial period in the cycle coming up. And you've got two strategies that I see. One is try to fight to be the second place alternative to the front runner, or two, go straight at the front runner. But those are the only two. And I think each of these campaigns has got to make that decision. You've seen folks in the past, frankly, who've taken on Mr. Trump head on head, and to some degree in the back of their mind, they're probably thinking that hasn't worked too well. At the same time, the field is narrow. You've got 5 people on stage tonight, so the dynamic is different, and the opportunities might be different than they have in the past.
At a certain point, though, all these guys who are running to be in second place have to start winning somewhere.
That's right. And I think, and that's why I'm saying, I think you have to figure out for yourself, is your goal to take out the number 2 or number 3 and try to go for a one-on-one match, or is it to straight out try to go after number 1? But the time isn't your friend at some point. These contests, while I think this is probably going to go until late March or April, at some point there is that you become a presumptive nominee, not just by clinching the 1,237 delegates, but if you get to 900 or 1,000, it's going to become difficult for someone to catch you.
Right.
It's interesting. I mean, we're thinking along the same line about this. The interesting part, or the intrigue, is that to many it does seem that presumptively that it's got to be Trump. Where are the paths? Are they that likely for someone to catch up to him the way the polls are showing in all the states that are coming up?
Well, like I said earlier, I mean, you've got 6% of the delegates, right? So this isn't even the first inning. It's the first out of the first inning of the game. And you've got to say to yourself, now, going forward, he has racked up a nice little lead in that for part of the first inning. But you've got 155 delegates in Texas alone, which will be on March 1st. As I mentioned before, 99 in Florida. I mean, there's a lot of delegates at stake real early. So if you can kind of come back, then like any contest, you can make the math work for yourself. But you've got to, I mean, the one difference between this game and, say, a sports game is that there is a perception and a momentum that's very different. Once you get ahead by a certain amount, I think the perception is that you are the presumptive nominee, you are the front runner that can't be caught, and it's difficult to change that. Your support dries up, your resources dry up. So if you don't engage early in this process in the next few weeks, I think that's going to be trouble if someone's not able to go one-on-one.
Have you ever seen a race like this? I mean, you have now the leading candidate of the GOP was somebody who, during that first debate, was asked to take essentially a loyalty test by the moderator to the GOP.
Right. I don't think anyone's seen a cycle like this. When we started this cycle back in August of last year with 17 really qualified and diverse individuals taking 2 stages, we're down to 5. It's been historic in so many ways. And I think we as a party are very proud of what we've had, the number of people that we've brought, the audiences, look at the last 4 states. We have broken records in every single early state for the number of people who turned out. That's contrast to the Democrats. They're down in every one of the 4 states. I think that this is translating into a very good year for the Republicans. We're seeing the intensity, the enthusiasm, and the numbers are bearing out. It's not just the ratings from the debates. It's the number of people who are signing up, who are coming out to these early caucuses and primaries and wanting to take part in the process.
There are a lot of folks on the Democratic side, a lot of people even on our pundits, who have sort of been gleefully saying they cannot wait to see Donald Trump being the nominee for the GOP going against whether it's Hillary Clinton or Bernie Sanders. Do you think Democrats are underestimating that battle?
Well, whoever the nominee is, frankly, at this point, I mean, look, any Democrat that's gleeful needs to kind of look at who their own candidates are. You've got one that's a 74-year-old socialist, right? Which, just stop and think about that. Whether or not you're a liberal or a conservative, the idea of moving this country in a socialist direction is just something that I never thought would happen in a lifetime. The other candidate is someone who's under investigation by the FBI, and that's, frankly, who most of these people are pinning their hopes on. And I think if that's who you, as a Democrat, think is going to be your savior, that's a big problem. Most Americans don't trust Hillary Clinton. They don't think that she's truthful. They don't think that she lives by a set of rules that are separate for herself and Bill. And I think that that's a big problem. If you are a Democrat, I would be much more concerned with what you've got.
Their problem is clear, no question.
Right.
How close is the GOP to putting their arms around Donald Trump?
It's up to the voters. Once the voters pick a nominee, we will embrace whomever that is. I mean, and so as I mentioned earlier, more states will decide, more voters will decide. Our job is to create a level playing field for these individuals, give them the resources necessary to win in November, but embrace whomever that nominee is and win.
Sean Spicer, thanks very much for joining
Thanks.
us.
Good luck tonight, guys.
Yeah,
Good luck
thanks.
to you.